1992, Pepsi held a lottery contest in the Philippines. The contest was simple: buy a Pepsi for a chance to win 1 million pesos. An amazing idea in theory. However, what would start out as a simple contest would turn into one of the company's darkest eras, leading to 5 deaths and making headlines all across the world. This is the story of the Pepsi Number Fever. Alright guys, just really quick, I'm kind of new to this video essay, mini documentary type style videos. So I mean, I don't expect too much, I'm not gonna lie, but
oh brother, this guy stinks!
But anyways, if you would like to help out the channel, consider subscribing. I'm thinking about doing more kind of creepy kind of style content, video essay, mini documentary stuff. You know, that stuff, true crime, kind of just interests me. So if you want to stick around for that, consider subscribing. It is going to help the channel grow. I mean, I could use all the support I could get. Like, you see that number over there? Yeah, I could use it. Anyways, let's get right into the Pepsi emerged full swing into the Philippine market on October 16th, 1946. Pepsi had previously been imported into the Philippines, but only in small amounts. It wasn't until a man named John Clarkin, who had acquired a franchise and founded the Pepsi Cola bottling company of the Philippine island to distribute and sell Pepsi Cola. John was a veteran who had served in the United States Air Force during World War II and had been stationed in the Philippines. After the war, John went on to start the largest privately owned bottling plant in the world during that time period. After that, Pepsi had secured a spot into the Philippine market as people fell in love with that soda. John eventually moved back to the United States in 1957 with a huge amount of success in the Philippines. Pepsi had a strong position in the market share, as sometimes climbing up to 60% of cola beverages. Pepsi had a market campaign of "Have a Pepsi a Day," which grew the brand into big numbers. A lot of the success was also attributed to the introduction of Mountain Dew and 7-Up into the Philippine market as well. I can use a Mountain Dew right now with all the caffeine I need as I'm recording this at like 1 a.m. But yeah, everything was starting to be a smash hit for Pepsi as they were at top of the Philippine market. That was until the king of pop, Coca-Cola, started growing in the market as well. Even though Coca-Cola was in the Philippines before Pepsi, it wasn't until the 1980s when Coca-Cola started to make a huge push that Coca-Cola started to outsell Pepsi with nearly twice as much sales. This would lead to something known as the Cola Wars, in which Pepsi and Coca-Cola would find smart marketing tactics and dirty tricks to pass the competition. There were even rumors that both of them would hold the competition reusable glass bottles as hostage to try and prevent more sales. Pepsi would need to find some trick up its sleeve to play and do it fast. Introducing Pepsi's Number Fever. The Pepsi Number Fever was introduced in February 1992. The contest was simple. Buy any Pepsi products ranging from Pepsi Cola to 7-Up to Mountain Dew, and the cap inside the bottle would contain a number. This number would range anywhere from 1 to 999. Prizes would range anywhere from just 100 pesos, which is roughly $8.22 in USD, all the way up to 1 million pesos, which is about 82,177.93 cents in USD. Even though this isn't as big as something like, you know, the Mega Million or lottery or $1 billion, even though it doesn't compare necessarily to that, back then that was a huge ton of money to them. 1 million pesos was more than 50 times the average yearly salary of someone living in the Philippines at that time. A bus driver by the name Nima Balmez, I'm sorry if I butchered that name, was one of the lucky winners to win the 1 million pesos prize. She was even later featured in a Pepsi ad for the Number Fever as a marketing stunt. People began to buy Pepsi products in droves, and Pepsi began to make a big push in the Cola Wars. Pepsi's market share went from roughly 19% up to 25% in nearly a few months, which in context, Pepsi sales increased from 10 million all the way up to 14 million, which is a ginormous jump in revenue for the Filipino market. In fact, the contest was so successful that Pepsi extended the contest by a whole other 5 weeks. With sales coming in, what could go wrong for Pepsi? On the evening of May 25th, 1992, families had gathered in their homes to watch the evening news report of the winning Pepsi numbers. The winning number was announced to be 349, just another ordinary winning number, at least that's what had seemed. Pepsi had printed 2 caps with the day's numbers 349 with the security code at the bottom. The code had been added as like kind of a little insurance kind of thing for the extension of the contest by that extra 5 weeks. But it might turn into a big mistake for them. Before the promotion was extended, Pepsi had made over 800,000 bottle caps with the number 349. However, Pepsi did not make it very clear that the security code was also needed on the caps to be considered a winning number. That means that 800,000 bottle caps were believed to be the winning number. People all across the Philippines began to rejoice in the streets as they believed they had just won the 1 million pesos. Many of them rushed to the Pepsi bottling plants to redeem the 1 million pesos, only to be told that their bottle cap could not be redeemed without a security code. After that, Pepsi had also come out to the public and stated that they were willing to give 500 pesos to each person with the 349 bottle cap for the confusion. While hesitant, around 486,000 people accepted. However, for many people, this was not good enough. The protests to boycott Pepsi began outside government buildings and Pepsi offices. Protesters had begun to demand money that they were rightfully owed. A group of these protesters had called themselves the 349 Alliance and encouraged their peers not to buy any Pepsi products. Almost all of the protests remained peaceful. However, a few incidents would result in the deaths of 5 people. On February 13, 1993, a homemade grenade was thrown at a Pepsi truck during a protest. This grenade would rebound and would detonate in the crowd of protesters, killing a school teacher named Cynthia Rosario as she was walking to a convenience store. Again, sorry if I mispronounced stuff, don't come after me. An unnamed 5-year-old was also killed by the explosion, as well as 5 people injured. However, this was not the only tragedy in this story. A few months later, in May 1993, another homemade grenade had been thrown into a Pepsi warehouse, killing 3 Pepsi employees. Not much information was found on these 3 employees. Over this period of time, over 22,000 people filed formal claims against Pepsi. This would include 689 civil suits and 5,200 criminal complaints for deception and fraud. It is estimated that Pepsi had ended up paying around $20 million in legal fees. However, despite all this about the 349 caps, there was actually one person that did win. One of the winners, Jamie Lacanalao, was declared a rightful winner by holding one of the 2 allegedly winning caps. He was awarded 1,050,000 pesos in total prizes. However, none of the other 800,000 misprinted caps ever received any real prize money. Well, that is my first video essay. If you enjoyed, please subscribe once again. I'm thinking about doing more of these, maybe on the more creepier, like kind of just weirder side of the internet too. Maybe stuff that's not so hard to research as well, because man, this was hard. But anyways, I hope y'all have a great day that you well deserve. Until next time.